Hello, everybody. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. Happy Wednesday. Of course, that means, today is Hump Day, as it were, getting over the hump of the week, the middle of the week. There, I hope everybody's had a good week thus far. Tonight, obviously, we're going to give people a chance to come in here. We give them a couple minutes before we, get started. Hopefully, and if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. If you haven't yet, if you'd like to subscribe as well, to where you can get the notifications as to when I'm on. Also, if anything we talked about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question the best of my ability. And since we do have like 3 people in here, I might as well just go ahead and get right to it then. So tonight we're going to go over 3 articles, all from Bleeding Pool. One from kind of the animation section. The other from two others from comics related. So based on so first off, the new Rama 1/2 remake on Netflix. There's some announcements coming from that. That's the first article we're going to go over. Then also afterwards, we also got some news that Rob Liefeld has got a bit of a project coming out, and then also a journalist is coming. I guess an anime. There's a journalist coming out with a crowdfunded comic that some people are saying is filled with woke stuff. So that's what we have for you on hand for tonight. Let's see. With that being said, of course, and we're just past the 3-minute mark, so we did start up a little early tonight. So why don't we go ahead and get right? And then, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up, and this thing, on the wrestling wrap up, we'll talk a little bit about what happened on both last night's NXT episode, WWE, as well as AEW's the Dynamite Special Title Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit about what all went down there, as well as this day in each history. So with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started? Let's get right into it, since we already kind of said we would here. And again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let's get into the content here. Alrighty then. All right, so episode 1 of Netflix's adaptation of Ranma 1/2 is promising, according to that article is written by the Shark of Paper, and it was put up earlier today. Right. So let's go ahead and get into this. And it's premiering, I guess, or it premiered October 5th, which was this past Saturday, I believe. All right, so anything goes martial arts comedy goofiness and romance come together in Netflix's adaptation of the legendary Rumiko Takahashi's manga Rama One Half. Now Rumiko Takahashi, of course, not only did Rama One Half, but she also did, I believe, Inuyasha as well. So, as a fan of the manga and original anime, I was a little nervous going into this one as soon as I heard Netflix was going to be doing this one. Sure, they did great with One Piece, but failed horribly with Cowboy Bebop. I know those are live action adaptations of Japanese media, but I was thinking of the context of respecting the original's creators' ideas and themes, like One Piece, and not dumping sewage all over it like Cowboy Bebop. Sewage, as in woke sewage, or all the DEI stuff, what have you. Let's see. Let's not forget the troubles with localization either. Ahem, I digress. What is Rama One Half about, you ask? Here's Netflix's description. Quote, Akane Tendo meets new fiancée Ranma Saotome, a martial arts prodigy with a twist. He magically transforms into a girl upon touching cold water, unquote. Ah, my friend, with that insane premise, the comedy just flows from there. Rama One Half's cast of zany characters, with their interpersonal relationships, along with a healthy dose of martial arts action, is what made the original one of the all-time classics. The premise was definitely a product of its time. However, that's what made Rama One Half so great. Your mileage may vary. I definitely have had fears that this premise would be taken in by social concerns of our day and age, but so far the shoe hasn't dropped yet. In other words, I think either they're going to be a select set of people who think that the comedy is actually disrespectful to the LGBTQ community. They're going to be overly sensitive to it, or people are going to really ramp up the whole, pushing the whole LGBTQIA plus ideology. I think that may be where the shark paper may be going with this. Let's see if anybody's come in to comment on anything. Well, we do have somebody in here. Hey, Sungwoo. Hey, Mike. Just dropped in to say happy belated birthday. Hope you had a great one. Well, thank you there, Sungwoo. If you want to, or Seyun. If you want to, again, stick around, see how this all out, because they're talking about the remake from One Half. I don't know if you've ever seen that before. The Netflix, latest Netflix project. So, let's get into this. And I thank you for that. If you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated as well. All right, so here we go. So we're just one episode in, and my goodness, I had to rein in my happy camperness. So far, it's following the manga almost to a T, but harkens to the wonderful art style and energy as the original anime. The backgrounds are that beautiful meld of watercolor and cell animation of shows in the late 1980s and 90s. That since it's the 2020s, the animation and effects are so much better, and so is the sound quality. It's an excellent blend um, so far. Now, before we get talk, because it looks like they're going to talk about the English stuff, of course, the original Ranma One Half dub was done by, I believe, Ocean Studios. So I guess we'll get some comparative statements here. Even the English voice acting follows almost the same tone and cadence of the original Viz Media dubs. To my heart's surprise, a lot of the original Japanese voice cast reprise their roles, namely voice actors Kappei Yamaguchi, who voiced the original boy Ranma, Megumi Hayashibara, who voiced girl Ranma, and Noriko Hidaka, who voiced Akane Tendo from the original 1989 anime. Alas, it wasn't the case with the English dubs. The English voice cast does a great job, as I noted above, but I do miss David Kaye as Akane's father, Son Tendo. Now, as I said before, as I understand it, in the original Ranma One Half, it was Ocean Studios that basically did the original dubbing with Viz Media doing the licensing, and the distribution. So, um, whereas now it's probably quite likely that it's probably more or less the LA voice crew probably bangs it. I would say Crunchyroll, maybe Bang Zoom probably handle the dubbing. I don't, but I guess we'll find out soon enough here. Oh well. I'm really hoping things continue on the promising path that this first episode has shown us so far. As of right now, we seem to be on a one episode a week schedule. No binge watching just yet. Will this be another backslapping attaboy for Netflix? I truly hope so, but we'll see. Looking forward to watching the other episodes, and I'll give it a full review. All right, so the Shark of Paper, at least thus far, has some high praise for the new Ranma One Half series that Netflix is doing. Of course, with some cautious optimism that they don't overdose the wokeification of it. So, um, so yeah, that was a quickie article. Basically, at least two, if not all three of these are going to be pretty quick. That's why I've read Ranma when I was little. All right. Well, that'd be an interesting read for when you were little. Anyways, so let's get ready to move on to the next article then. Talking about Rob Liefeld. So there's a couple of articles here in the comics section we'll get into here. Let's see. Okay. Creator Rob Liefeld returning to work on Youngblood Comics, article by Todd Fisher, published earlier today. All right, so here we go with this one. So, comic book creator Rob Liefeld is plotting a return to the property that helped launch his post-Marvel career more than 30 years ago. Liefeld will return to write and illustrate a Youngblood title for Image Comics, which will publish the book next year. Marks his first work on the property in 7 years. So basically, I would say since 2017, I guess. And he is working with Scott Mitchell Rosenberg, who oversees the property for rights holder Rip Media Incorporated. Quote, it's so great that I can run into the comfort of characters that I created that launched a movement. They carry such history. I love Youngblood so much. These characters are my absolute passion, unquote, said Liefeld. I guess that's Rob Liefeld right there. In addition to the new series, Image will publish Youngblood Vault Edition, featuring high res scans of of the original art from the first Youngblood series, collected in a deluxe oversized hardcover. There will also be a facsimile edition of Youngblood #1, timed to its 33rd anniversary in April 2025. All right, so that was a quickie. That one was actually even quicker than the other one. All right, so this is probably the one article that will probably go a little longer. You know, so we'll um, because this one usually with this one this is the Avi article. This is the one that usually draws in a lot of like debate. You know, based on Avi's reasoning and all that. And so journalist launches a crowdfunded comic with political overtones. Article by Avi Green, published earlier today. So here we go. So NH, which I would imagine probably stands for New Hampshire, if I had to guess. NH Business Review reports about. So this is Avi speaking, by the way. He reports about a communications specialist who's producing a crowdfunded sci-fi comic that's supposed to deal with issues like immigration. Oh boy. And we know what happens when some of these woke people try to. Well, again, I should be very careful because we don't know if this will be a hard left or hard right book yet. So I guess we won't know until we read the description here. But anyways, hey, Comdot. The power keeps cutting out for me due to storms. Well, hopefully you're all right, and hopefully you'll catch some of the show at least. And again, if need be, you can always go back and watch the show again if you want to go back and catch what you missed, at a later time. But I do appreciate you coming in and participating as well. So as I do with all my guests or all of my viewers. All right, so let's get into this. So this is from the NH Business Review article. Communications professional Ryan Lassard of Manchester, so yeah, this is New Hampshire, has launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund a sci-fi adventure comic series with themes that touch on immigration, citizenship, democracy, and the need for a free press to combat misinformation. Lassard began writing the series in 2012 when he noticed the political discourse rocking the U.S. Quote, when I worked as a journalist for 10 years, I saw it as my civic duty to combat lies with facts, to report the truth of fairness, and to disinfect our toxic politics with indiscriminating sunlight. Okay. Again, okay, so the one question I would have, of course, well, what does he see as misinformation? Does he see more the right set of information as misinformation, or does he see the left as the misinformation? So I guess we're gonna see. I guess we'll see as we continue reading the article here. So it's like, what's his actual perspective on the matter? So he told New Hampshire Business Review in an email, quote, telling the story of Saras Vetti, an alien journalist working for a futuristic news agency, I wanted to present a morality play of our modern anxieties with metaphor, while also giving a positive representation to a journalist and a refugee trying to earn her citizenship. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. With Lassard at the helm of the series with a writing credit, he also collaborated with international and domestic artists, including Javi Lapara, an artist from Guatemala, Luis Zavala, a colorist from Mexico, and Adam Wollett, a letterer from Florida, to bring the story of quote unquote Sentinel to life. And many of you have used Sentinel as a character name. So, quote, too often journalists are represented in various media as unscrupulous vultures, and that stereotype has seriously hurt the public trust in the free press, unquote. Well, I would think there's more, particularly with mainstream media, I think there's more hurting the people's public faith or causing a decrease in public faith in the press right now than just a stereotypical view of being unscrupulous vultures. But Lachar wrote, quote, I also wanted to show what it is like for some refugees and immigrants who are seeking asylum or citizenship in land that is foreign to them because they're escaping dire and dangerous circumstances, a fact often lost in the public discourse around immigration in the U.S. Unquote. So at least thus far, my impressions here would seem, and I could be wrong, but based on what I've read so far and what I've read on what Lassard said, I would say he probably, if I had, again, based on what he's saying, I could be misinterpreting it, but I would say in terms of what his ideas on journalism and on immigration are, he probably tends to be a little bit more right leaning. He probably believes in you know going through the proper legal channels to become a citizen. So again, that's just my interpretation based on what I've read thus far here. But again, I could be wrong. I guess we'll wait and see and I guess now we're coming back to Avi here and see what Avi has to say on the matter. Let's see. Okay, it wasn't the entire show. I'll rewatch the entire show when it ends. All right, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, Carrie, thanks for dropping in. Hey, Mike. Yeah, we're talking about going over an Avi article here about a journalist up in New Hampshire apparently crowdfunding a comic to tackle certain situations like immigration. Now we're just kind of going over, trying to figure out what his particular thought process is. So I hope, and again, as always, guys, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And also, if anything here does, or if you haven't already, it would also be nice if you'd subscribe as well to help. One, so you guys can get the information, through your notifications and know when I'm on. And also, help get my subscriber count up as well. That'd be appreciated as well. So, anyways, back to the article. Then it's nice to see 5 people in here. I'm glad to have you all here. Let's continue on here. So, this is Avi speaking now. I'm guessing this guy's not a fan of Stan Lee's vision with J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man, nor Marv Wolfman's with Bethany Snow in Teen Titans. Now, I do know, I think most of us know, if you've ever read a Spider-Man comic or watched a Spider-Man cartoon, what he probably means by J. Jonah Jameson. I'm not as sure about Bethany Snow. Don't know as much about her, but in any event, what makes this so unimpressive is the guy's refusal to take a balanced vision that recognizes there's journalists who can do bad. very evil things, just like there are those that can do good things. He's not willing to take an approach that's critical of left-wing journalists who've done bad things, how they have how they have blame to shoulder for the negative image of the press these days. That's the problem. Well, I don't know. I do think that this guy, at least from what I'm seeing thus far, right? I think this guy is taking a balanced approach just because he's not coming out and being outright critical of the left and their, what they've done to make the situation worse. I don't think means that he's not taking a balanced approach. I think he's taking the balanced approach. He may not be addressing it directly, but he's trying to show what at least what he believes a journalist should be doing. So, anyways, and continuing on with Avi's commentary here, is this guy aware much of the mass uncontrolled immigration into the USA and elsewhere has led to criminals like rapists and Islamic terrorists gaining footholds? Again, I think my impression is Mr. Lassard is focusing more on those who are actually trying to focus and put the spotlight more on people who are, because, there is a way, in other words, there are a lot of people who are focusing on all the bad, the negative side of immigration, the things that Avi just pointed out there. But we also can't forget, and I think that's what Lassard is trying to do, is trying to focus more on the people who are actually doing it the right way. The people who are trying to do it legally, who are basically, who aren't like illegally crossing the border, who are going to the proper authorities, filing the proper paperwork to become legal immigrants, whether that's through the green card process or what have you. Interestingly enough, I do notice the premise of Sentinel is that the star team of the comic are on a mission to stop a terrorist. But if it turns out he doesn't have the courage to confront serious issues like Islamic terrorism, metaphorically or otherwise, then this comic is pointless. All right, well, I think Avi may have a bit of a point there. But then Avi should also, and I get that everything we've seen, every time we've seen a journalist try to get involved, it tends to be, they tend to be, leftist or hard left or SJW, what have you. But at least from what little I've seen of Mr. Lassard thus far from New Hampshire here, I don't get that vibe, at least early on here. So, but I guess we'll have to wait and see when the comic comes out and see what people say about it too. Quote, and then Avi speaks then, if men like Mr. Lassard, who've worked in press reporting, were really serious, they'd take issue with the bad apples who've damaged the public trust in journalism. Now, I don't entirely agree with. Yes, you do call them out, but you don't make calling out the bad journalists your big point. I don't think Mr. Lassard is doing that. I think in some respect Mr. Lassard is doing a good job here by focusing more on the positives and not on the negatives. We got too many. It's kind of funny because Avi talks a lot about how comic creators focus too much on the negative, how there's like too much horror, too much negativity. Well, at least from what I'm seeing thus far, from what little I read here about Mr. Lassard, I think he's doing just the opposite of what he's actually trying to focus more on the I think he's trying to focus more on the positives, on the people who are actually trying to, instead of focusing on the criminals. And I'm not saying that people come in legally don't deserve the criticism or the scrutiny that they get. Okay, don't get me wrong on that. But it's also, you also should balance it out by talking about, the people who are doing it, the right way, who are trying to do it the right way. Okay. And I can understand why there are people who want a moratorium on immigration as a whole, so we could vet those who are already in our country and kind of clean house where needed. Okay. So, but I think he's kind of being a little misguided here and not recognizing that, it's one thing to give legit critique. It's another to, overdo it, right? Because, because the thing is that, just because maybe even not right off the bat, he's going after those bad apples, as it were, doesn't mean that he is totally ignoring that. I think he's primarily trying to focus more. I think if anything, what he's trying to do, how he's trying to deal with the problem, is more by focusing more on the positives and focus on the people who are actually trying to do it the right way, which we don't seem to have enough of. There is a lot of lip service going towards, a lot of politicians on the right saying, it's not fair for those who are actually trying to do it the right way when you have all these people doing it the wrong way and getting away with it. But I think what Mr. Lassard is doing here is he's putting the emphasis more on the people who are doing it the right way. And maybe as the comic comes out and we all get a chance to see what he's saying in the comic, it might be a point where maybe he does bring up the lack of fairness to those who are actually trying to do it the right way. And maybe there will be more scrutiny and critique towards those who are doing it the wrong way. But only time will tell. But again, we'll have to wait and see, when that all comes about. So anyways, continuing on here. Let's see, Avi, and let's see. Yeah. All right, so then the last thing saying here, failing to consider those issues won't help even a comic dealing with the subject Sentinel does. Now, Avi, he he makes some good points there, and I do generally agree with him. I can see his point there, but I also think that he's already kind of like he's already assuming that Mr. Lassard is not. Now, granted, I myself don't even know for certain, because usually when we do hear of journalists doing stuff like this, they tend to be left wing woke propagandist. Okay, this Mr. Lassard here. Let me see his full name here. Ryan Lassard of Manchester. At least from what I've read here, I would think he would actually be more on the right in terms of his ideological stances. He'd probably be more in line, let's say, with Trump and conservatives and MAGA than he is with people like Harris and Waltz. He's focusing more on the people who's trying to do it the right way. So I think that is I think that is what he's trying to focus on. We're a lot of times we're so focused, where you get so focused on um talking about the native side of immigration, about the people who aren't doing it right, people who are coming into our country illegally, um, the people who are trying to jump the line, as it were, or people who are just coming, just swamping our resources and all that, taking away from our own citizenry and those who are doing it, trying to do it the right way, the legal way. But I think what Ryan Lashard is doing here, I think he's trying to put more of the focus on the people who are doing it the right way, and all the power to him. I think Avi does again make some points that maybe we'll see more of that as time goes on, depending upon how the how I guess we'll wait to see when this comic actually does come out and see what people say about it. But anyways, we're up to 36 minutes here, so I think it's time to start moving along here. So now what we're going to do, of course, we're going to move on to the wrestling wrap up. I'll talk. Obviously last night WWE had NXT. We'll go back and look at that. Talk about what happened on there. Also, we will. And last night AEW had a special edition of Dynamite, Title Tuesday. We'll look at that, as that's the go home Dynamite before this Saturday's Wrestle Dream. We'll see how that all went down. So with that being said, let's get into the wrestling wrap up here. So first off, we're going to go back to last night's NXT, which was held at the Factory at the District in Chesterfield, Missouri. As it's, and I don't know if there's going to be a regular thing in which NXT will actually now be doing more like shows from outside of the training, because I think up to before they started on the CW, they were doing shows from the Performance Center. I don't know if they're going to be doing that more or less now. But on last night's NXT, the opening match saw a 6-woman tag match that pitted the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, teaming with North American Women's Champion, NXT North American Women's Champion Kalani Jordan, to defeat the team of Fatal Influence of Fallon Hanley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. So, and then in a match for the WWE NXT North American title, Tony D'Angelo challenged and defeated Oba Femi for the title. Now, there's some rumors going around that this might be a way for them. I guess there's some talk that the WWE is possibly thinking of bringing Femi up to the main roster, because he did, after his loss to D'Angelo, he did talk about who, if and when he is called up to the main roster, who he might want to face. So there's probably been some talk about that Femi might be going up the main roster. Whichever brand he goes to will be interesting. Then the WNXT tag team titles were on the line, as Axiom and Nathan Frazier defeated the SmackDown duo of A-Town Down Under, the former WWE tag team champions Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And then in the main event saw Randy Orton defeat Javon Evans. So that all happened on last night's NXT, which you did have some, which you did apparently have some, some of the SmackDown. You had some SmackDown, you had some Raw too. Randy Orton's from Raw, so you had some of the main stars. You had a couple of title matches coming off of the off the heels of the Bad Blood pay-per-view. As people are moving stories along here. So, anyways, continuing on here as we now get ready to go talk about what happened on last night's Dynamite, to Title Tuesday Dynamite. As the night opened up with Hologram taking on Commander in a one-on-one match, in which Hologram continued his winning streak. Currently, Hologram has the longest active winning streak in AEW with 14 wins. Now, after the match, the faction formerly known as Los Facciones de Ingobernables, of Rush Dralistico and newest member, the Beast Mordos, attacked both Hologram and Commander, leading to a match being signed between the Beast Mordos and Hologram at this weekend's Wrestle Dream, in which the Beast Mordos and Hologram will be taking each other on in a best 2 out of 3 match. So that will be, best 2 out of 3 falls match. In a match that was originally there was going to be a number 1 contenders match between former AEW World Women's Champion Dr. Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale, the former TBS champion. Unfortunately, Dr. Britt Baker became ill, was unable to travel. So what they had ended up doing is they turned it from a number 1 contenders singles match into a number 1 contenders fatal 4-way match, which Willow Nightingale went up against 3 former AEW Women's World Champions in Jamie Hayter, Nyla Rose, and Saraya, outlasting all of them as Penelope Ford made her return to AEW, attacking Jamie Hayter and leading Jamie Hayter away from the match. Let's see. Of course, Harley Cameron, who was in Saraya's corner, was helping her throughout the match. This match turned out to be actually very good in terms of like a lot of action, a lot of competitiveness. But anyways, Willow Nightingale ended up winning the match and was basically confronted and attacked after the match by the current AEW Women's Champion, Mariah May. So now, set up for this Saturday's Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, Willow Nightingale will be challenging Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Champion. Jay White made his in-ring return last night, taking on Cody Chun, defeating him in just under 3 minutes at 2:49, and then basically challenging Hangman Adam Page to him after Adam Page's attack on Jude Robinson last week and some of their previous history being taken out by Adam Page. The match has since been signed as you have former AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page set to take on former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Switchblade Jay White. So you got the Hangman versus Switchblade coming up on this Saturday's Wrestle Dream pay-per-view from Tacoma, Washington. In a match for the TBS and New Japan Strong Women's title, Mercedes Moné defended the title against Emi Sakura, one of the first women to be signed by AEW. First time in a while that we've seen Emi in a AEW or Ring of Honor ring. With some help from Camille, distraction-wise and all that. Mercedes defeated Monet defeated Emi Sakura, but after the match, later on after the match, Emi promised that she'll come for Monet again. Now, just after the match, Chris Statlander came out to basically confront both. After the match, as Mercedes Monet and Camille were about to attack Emi Sakura, Chris Statlander came out to make the save and got some measure of revenge against Camille. And there's been a lot of talk about a potential match between Camille, who's 6 feet tall, and Statlander, 5 foot. Two of the bigger women in the AEW women's division. This is looking to be possibly a matchup that a lot of people are looking forward to seeing. So just be waiting to see how that'll, yet the former NWA World Women's Champion in Camille taking on the former TBS champion Chris Statlander. And the main event saw Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta defeat Claudio Castagnoli and Pac in a match where every man was a champion. You had the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Danielson teaming with 1/3 of the AEW World Trio Champions, taking on the other 2/3 of the team, in which Danielson getting the tap out victory on Pac. So that's all that went down on Dynamite last night. So with that being said, of course, let's see. Now let's get ready to, now that we've done the wrestling wrap up here, with today being Wednesday, October 9th, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Niche history. So first off, got some birthday wishes to send out. As first off, I'd like to wish a happy 70th birthday to American actor Scott Bakula. Now, of course, many people, he's done the voice of Danny and Cat Don't Dance, and he also portrayed himself in the Simpsons episode Bobby It's Cold Outside, but also, of course, in the sci-fi realm, of course, he was on the original Quantum Leap show back in the 80s, early 90s for on the original NBC series, and also was Captain Jonathan Archer on the Star Trek Enterprise series. And also, happy 70th birthday to John O'Hurley, the American actor, comedian, and voice actor John O'Hurley, who, of course, did the voice of Johan Niles in the Tarzan franchise. He was King Neptune in SpongeBob SquarePants, Mr. Slate in the Flintstones, and WWE Stone Age SmackDown. He was King Nova in Buzz Lightyear in the Star Command. Basically a number of different voices he's done over the years, John O'Hurley. So happy 70th birthday to both Scott Bakula and John O'Hurley. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to put those up. In fact, I should probably, let me go ahead and do that real quick so everybody can see. All right. So now, moving on. Now, the third and last birthday wish that I'd like to send out to would be to happy 60th birthday to Robin Smith, also known to most wrestling fans as Rockin' Robin. So happy 60th birthday to former WWF Women's Champion Rockin' Robin. Of course, she is the daughter of the very infamous Grizzly Smith, as well as being the younger half sister of Jake the Snake Roberts and the sister of Sam Houston. So happy 60th birthday to former WWF World Women's Champion Rockin' Robin. So, anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history, as we move ahead to 2004, as on this date in 2004, on this date in 2004, Sunrise's Gundam Seed Destiny premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 2004. So 20 years ago today, Sunrise's Gundam Seed Destiny premiered on Japanese television on this date 20 years ago today. And finally, as we move ahead 9 years after this to 2013, which was 11 years ago today, on this day 11 years ago today, the first issue of Afterlife with Archie from Archie Comics went on sale on this date back in 2013. It was a monthly title, sold for $2.99. I think it only went some like 15 issues or something like that. The first story was Escape from Riverside, written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, with art by Francesco Francavilla, and lettering done by Jack Morelli. So on this date, 11 years ago today, the first issue of Afterlife with Archie went on sale on newsstands on this date 11 years ago. So, anyways, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow, of course. And of course, this Friday, we'll be continuing our look back through comics history. We'll be going back to March of 1940 to look at books that went on sale from Standard. We'll be looking at Thrilling Comics Volume 1, Issue 4, and Exciting Comics Issue 2. My co-host will be Metal from the Vomitorium to provide some additional commentary as we continue to our trip down Comics History Lane. So with that, I thank everyone for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.